Hi guys, my name is Abdurrahman Gilal, and in this video I'll tell you something about sessions in web applications and why are they so important. So this is very important for us to understand that what is session. So I'm gonna just give you the simple recap of the client-server architecture. Let's say if you're asking any services from a server, so you become client, right? So this server is something that can hold all the services, all the business logic, all the web pages, let's say page one, page two, page three, all of them are here. Let's say you may have page 100 or page and anything. All the business logic, all the connection with the other databases or other servers happens through here, right? So what happens that you use this protocol called HTTPS. That protocol asks you to find out the server, bring your request, and then server decides what to do on your request. So server does one thing. I'm sorry about that. Give me a second. Okay, so give me a second. Okay, right. My bad. Yeah. So server decides what am I going to do with that. For example, you write facebook.com. You write Facebook. Okay. So facebook.com. So when you write HTTPS comes here, HTTP comes here, and then HTTP goes and finds out you the facebook.com. For example, this is facebook.com, and this server decides which page to send to you. So server decided to send to you page one, right? In the page one, you have some login information, let's say. So HTTPS is the one that brings back the page here. So now you are loaded with page one. In the page one, you have, for example, you have two fields. One is called username and other called password, right? So once you have two fields to fill in, so anything that you put here, then I have to go back to the server. So once you send back to the server, HTTPS does not remember that what was the request last time. So you don't have to expect that HTTPS remember where to go. That's a big, excuse me, big problem that HTTPS protocol, sorry, is called stateless protocol. Stateless means that it does not remember what happened in the past. So now the session has a, oh, sorry, server has a problem. It does not know what it is bringing again. So what server does, it create, for example, this is client one. It create a session here, which means the time it's dealing with a particular user. There can be so many users here, so many users. So every session will be, every time server will be assigning some session IDs to the client. So this way session knows that what am I dealing with this client, what am I dealing with that client. So server has a very specific thing, then it has a special sessions for each variable, so each user or each client. So now in the sessions you create variable which become super global variables, which means that anything that you make here in that particular session for that client now can be accessible through all the pages. For example, page one variables can now be accessed to the page two variables. With the help of session, if you make a session at page one, can be accessed throughout the whole web application. That's going to be really wonderful. So you make sessions at page one or page two can be accessed at hundreds of pages. That is making it super global variable, super global variable. So super global means that it's not an ordinary variable. It is a variable that is accessible by whole the web application, which is new. That is not in Java and other programming languages, right? So now how to work with sessions, right? That's very important for us to know. So that's why I'm quickly explaining you that in order to work with sessions, you have to deal with the session specific methods, right? The first thing, let me just quickly go that how I have this, sorry, now this page does not exist. So I have a page called index.php. Whenever you write index.php, you don't write index.php, this is basically going to be the same, right? So you see here, I have this page written here, and I have only one web page that is called index.php. So this is one page, it's server, right? It's on local server, right? So now whenever I do anything, we'll have to go to the login page, right? This is the thing. So I'm making login page here, so I should save it. So there you go. So now login page is here. You see login page is here. And then my logic is very simple logic. When I say when the user sends a request to me here in the login page, I verify the request. If it's successful, it should go to another page that should be welcome page or dashboard page. If it is not, then it should go back here to the login page, right? So which is the index page here. So let me make another page, sorry. Let me make another page. I write welcome.php and I try to save it, and I save it here. So you see here, I have now third page is called welcome.php, right? So I have two pages, or three pages. One is index, which will basically request to login page. Login page will decide whether it should go here to the welcome page or it should go back to the index page. So let's quickly type it, right? So here, excuse me, I got throat pain or this thing. So first thing, I have username coming from index and password coming from index, right? So I have to store them somewhere, right? So I'm gonna store in a username here. So I am making now first, and here I am putting username, right? So this is one variable ready. So now I'm making password. So in order to work with the password, I should do the same thing because my method is post method, and I have password coming in. So my logic here is very simple and straightforward. I'm gonna say if the username equals to any of the username. Right now, I do not have any connection with the database, which I'll explain you in the next videos, and how to make your own databases and how to basically store everything that is from client or from any other client to be stored in the database. And then you can fetch values from the database, and then you can basically compare from the database. Right now, I don't have any database, so I'm just gonna make here my own dummy values. So I'm gonna say Booth's name should be Abdul. Make sure the A should be capital because this is the values. If that's the case, then it should go to the welcome page. So how you basically send it to the welcome page, you use a function called header, and then with the header, you simply write any keyword called location, sorry, with colon, and then you put the location. So I put the location, look, welcome.php. If it's not the case, then where should it go? It should go back, sorry, it shouldn't be the case. Yeah, it should go back to index.php, right? So that's what I'm saying, that if successful, go here, unsuccessful, go back here. That's the logic, right? So let me go. I did not create any sessions. So you see, I refresh it and I put AR blah blah blah. So it's going back here. Now I'm gonna put Abdul capital and I'm gonna say Abdul capital. So you see, welcome.php makes sense. This is logically fine. But there is a problem. Let's say now, let's say I'm here, I refresh it, and I simply go and access the page called welcome.php. I can access it, but it shouldn't be accessed, right? So why? Because I did not log in successfully. So there you go. And in order to do every logic, for example, you can't post, you can't chat on Facebook because you are not logged in, right? If you are successfully logged in, then you can access anything that you want. So make sure that first of all, you are successfully logged in. Here, I'm not logged in, but I'm still on welcome page. That's no good, right? Excuse me. So the first thing I have to, in order to access all the whole site, all the data anywhere, I have to create a session variables. So for example, I have three pages here. So I have to have three, one session if it's created at login page can be accessed at index, can be accessed at welcome.php. So the first thing, in order to work with sessions, you should remember you should use a function called session underscore starts. If you don't do that, it's really not gonna work anywhere. So now when you start the session, you are given one session ID. Server will decide what is to come, but usually it is there. I'll show you now. I'll show you in this page that what is our ID. But let me show you here. First, you have to start the session. Once you start the session, then you can have this ID. If you don't start the session, then you cannot see what is the session ID. So you should write session ID, and then you can go back and see here. So this is just a simple logic I'm putting in here. First session is started. And then here, I'm gonna say, if session is started, you should create any variable. So in order to create the variable, which are super global variable, in order to carry your data, so you should have $ and underscore, sorry, and the session capital. If you make it small case, it's gonna create a problem. And here you can put your variable name. You're gonna see like, one thing that is that you have something square brackets, which means this is a session stored in an array variable. So everything that you put will be basically stored in an array that's called a dollar underscore session, right? So if you wanted to print underscore r, so you have all the information. So I'm gonna make associative array, which means this index is my name, so I have any name that I can put. So now I'm gonna put username. That means that whenever I have any successful login, that should be given a username to it, right? And then you also can do like you can create another variable. Let's say you're going to create a message. So this is called message. So I'm going to make a message variable like welcome or anything like welcome or username, for example. Let's say you say username. So that means a welcome Abdul or anything that's basically there, right? And then if it's not successful, what should I do? Maybe I'm gonna make a variable called message. So you're gonna, sorry, you are not successfully logged in, right? Hmm. This is my variable. Anything that you can say basically is up to you. I'm sorry about my, you know, spells and all those things. And then this variable, once it's existed, now I can use it either in index.php or welcome.php, right? So I can use any logic here. So here, if I come here, I can put any logic. First, let me quickly create a logic first thing. I wanted to make sure that my variable, let's say session, whatever variable, let's say username exists, right? Or you can also put session ID into your this variable, which is welcome message, so that you can easily compare. So I'm gonna just simply say whether my if my this variable is set. So you see, I said if my this variable that is called username is set, that means somehow I am accessing it through proper channel, because some people can come without using this page, right? So you cannot anticipate that user can do, always legit things. So you have to have the set variables, right? So I have this one. If that's the case, if that variable is set, then you can print out that message variable. Now, not this one, session. And then here you can say, you have a message, you set up already message variable. If it is not, then what you should do is then make sure that you send the user back to the login page. How you do that? You use the same way, location, and then here you put index.php, right? This is a simple way is that you're gonna see the ID, plus you see the how to say the message, that is the login message that we successfully made it, right? So here we don't have any PHP code, so we have to also make sure that user is successfully logged in or unsuccessfully logged in. So what you do here, first thing that you do is that start the session. And then once the session is started, then you can make sure that the message exists. If the message exists, so what you do that you just simply print out. So if it is not, sorry, not like that, you should use a method called isSet method. And then once that is set, then you can print out, let's say what you do is that dollar underscore session, and then you put here message, right? And then there's a problem that this message will always be printed on the screen. Let me show you first, then I'll explain you then how you can destroy that. Okay, you see here, every time you refresh, that message is always there because you have successful, message. So what you really would do is that in order to specifically delete a one variable of a session, you usually, use this method called unset, right? Unset will delete one particular session variable, but if you wanted to destroy whole the session or all the variables in the session, you should use method called session underscore unset. I'll explain you shortly when I explain you the logout message, logout page. So let's say run this. So you see gone, it's successful. Now I don't have anything that's coming. I do something wrong here and I come here. So sorry. So what's happening here? Let me show you. So this message is unset. So here, once we go, if the message is successful, then it should go back to the welcome page. Otherwise, it should go to the here, this page. So let me go back here. So let me successfully write this. Abdul is which is wrong. How come it's wrong? I have said everything correctly. Okay, let me see the logic. So we come here, we say if that's the case, it should go to the welcome page, which should be fine, and it should be going here. In the welcome page, we should say if this message username exists, then should it print the message. Otherwise, it should not print the message, right? It should be fine, right? Let's run it. So Abdul, and then you say Abdul, and then you go here. That's perfectly fine. So the problem is here that it says that your username does not exist. That's no good because we have this message. It should be fine here. So that means something is wrong here. Are we using a wrong message here? Let's, no, this is okay. Are we using, oopsie. Are we misusing something here? So it says like if I'm trying to print out a message, it says it's no message. It shouldn't be the no message. It should be some message here. So this message is not basically storing anything. So let's run again now. So also sometimes problem happens when once we do not destroy the variables effectively. So let me let me have a page here. Okay, so so not this one, echo, and then I should say a reference, and then I should say if you wanted to go and log out .php. So this way we will basically log out everything successfully. So here I unset this all. Okay, so wait for that first. So let's see that if logout, so which means I have to create another page. So I'm gonna make a logout page here. So let's save it. So logout.php, that's all right. So in order to run the logout page, what we usually do is that we can do any other logic. Like for example, I wanted to make sure that you come through welcome page or from login page. You cannot directly come on this page. You can apply any logic here, but I'm gonna just make simple is that. So I'm gonna make this system first started. As I told you that in order to delete all the variables here, you should use session underscore unset. So once you say unset, all the variables will be basically destroyed here. And then, but the session will still be alive. So what's the best way to remove the session? We use this session underscore destroyed. Once session underscore destroys come, so everything that is there has been now stopped. So all the IDs and everything, names and the status of the session has been just gone. So let's run it and see here. So we now successfully gone. So we can come here and then we say successful. So you see here now it's everything is fine. This is saying welcome Abdul, right? So that means that we don't have any problem with the logic here. I put this wrong message, which is coming here. You refresh it, it's gone, right? So our logic was fine. Only thing maybe we were not printing it correctly or something was happening. So you see here, when you create this, no is basically coming from, okay, so let me see if it's coming from here or it's coming from where. So it's part of the, sorry, session, right? So that's no is part of the session. So when you see the welcome message, that's successful coming here. So let's say if somebody is trying to use this welcome message, so welcome page directly now. So you see nothing is happening here. You can also set up some variable here, like a message. Please log in first. You can set up anything here. So this is first thing. In order to start, you have to have session started. Second thing, in order to see what's the session ID, you can apply anything here. You wanted to see session, let's say name. So session name, you should usually see, that's the variable that basically helps you, sorry, method that helps you to see the session name. And then, sorry, yep. And then you wanted to see the session name, let's say Abdul. So you come here, Abdul. So session name is PHP and SESSID. That's good, right? If you wanted to, do more, like you wanted to reset the session variables at here, you don't want to destroy, but you wanted to reset, you should use the method called session underscore reset. So with this reset, basically, you can not destroy the session, but the values will be becoming from the new one, so your session ID can be reset and everything. So it's up to you how you do that. When you say session abort, all the changes that happen in the session can be just gone. So I hope that's going to be useful for you to implement your login pages or your session things. If you got any question that you wanted to ask related to the session lecture, please do not hesitate to ask me. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.